Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to another Friday night stream. This
That's
one is
right.
our special one of the month.
Yeah, I'm Paul,
Devin.
and we're finally together again, Dads and Dice.
Also, I realize it says October instead of November. But that's okay.
What? No, it does say October.
That's, things happen. We try our best.
We'll change it after the fact. Hey, Ken.
Technically, we are talking about the games from
October, yeah, you're right.
So,
hey, you made it from the start. You sure did. I feel like it's been a while.
I know.
So congrats.
Yeah. Are you still working on Saturdays?
Yeah.
It's Saturday for you, right?
Mm-hmm. I think it is. Yeah, so still doing that on Saturday. Let's see, it's been a long time since we've gotten together, I feel like.
It has. In fact, Paul and I only got to play, I think, two games together.
Yeah.
All last month.
And surprisingly, we got a bunch of solo games in. So we do have a lot to talk about, just not a lot about gaming together.
Yeah, that's true. So let's get over Michael. What's going on?
Yeah, only two.
Well, yeah, that's why Paul did so many solos on Fridays, because I had a pretty busy October. Just had a lot going on most weekends, so I couldn't get together.
October is always a busy month for you.
Yeah. Well, is it?
Yeah, well, I mean, you've always got...
I got one weekend that's inventory. Usually November is like my busiest month because I do a family trip, but that got moved to October this year.
Oh, okay.
Right?
I thought that was normally in October.
And then we had the race, so that was another weekend.
That's right.
Right? So,
and then my birthday weekend.
So it just turned out busy that way. But typically November is like my month that is like nonstop, because I know this because it always then goes into December, which is also nonstop for everybody. So anyway, yes, Michael, only two games together. One was good. I don't remember what the second one was.
I don't remember the other one either. It was at the beginning of the month and then the last day of the month or something like that.
Ken, Saturday morning doing chores, but watching Dads and Dice makes it better. I
appreciate
like that for sure. So let's get this going because I think we got 30-ish games.
Yeah, we got quite a bit.
That is not the first game. That is the last game. Spoiler.
Spoiler for me, too. I actually did not look at this list beforehand.
Yeah. First game was Altiplano.
You soloed it?
I did. I soloed this.
I want to say at the beginning of the month.
Yeah, toward the beginning. So I honestly can't remember.
Let's see.
Oh, yeah. It was a fan-made solo, and it was not bad. It let me play the game. Ultimately, I think I...
Very first of the month.
Always rather just play this with people. But it was fun. I think this game's excellent, and I haven't got to play it recently. We played it a lot. Well, we played it at BGG many years ago, and then Joe got it, and we played it 2 or 3 times with him. And then I didn't play it, and then I got it, and
we haven't played it yet.
2 years later, I actually got to play it. So,
I remember really enjoying Altiplano. I think this was like my first bag builder that I played.
That's probably
it was either this
correct.
or Orleans. I think it was this one.
No, this was like years before we played Orleans.
And I remember just really enjoying that mechanic. And what's really funny is you and I have had this conversation. Deck building for me is not one of my favorite things, but bag building is.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. It's just something tangible. It's something it's the unknown.
Getting
it's like that little...
Getting that textile feel.
Exactly.
Of it, you know?
That rush of adrenaline of what am I going to get out, which is the same with cards, but you're actually feeling it. So that was something that I really enjoyed about this game. I definitely want to play it again because it's not just a, Quacks of Quedlinburg bag builder, right? There's actually more strategy to it. You've got like the movement and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. Maybe at BGG Con we play this with Joe.
That's, I think, a great idea.
Yeah, it's one that we all know.
Play with one of the expansions because, BGG's got every expansion piled in the thing.
That box won't even shut.
They've only got one expansion for it, but yeah, we'll play with that.
I like that idea.
So that was Altiplano. Next up was Carnegie.
I'm very interested to hear your thoughts on this one.
Did I do this as a live?
You did not do it as a live.
Did not do it as a live. I played it. I don't remember.
So one thing with Carnegie that I've heard...
Something happened. What happened? I'm trying to think.
So one thing with Carnegie, if you don't know the game, it's got this like really cool player interaction where you select the action and everybody has to do that action, or that's the action that you're doing. So whenever you play it multiplayer, in a way you kind of have this like a gotcha kind of moment, right? Like sometimes the action that you take might not be the best for you, but it's definitely not the best for other people, right? So I'm really interested to hear, how does that play solo? Like, how does that translate solo? Because I feel like that's the main part of the game. Yeah. And I guess you don't have that with the solo.
You have a deck of cards, and on the backs of the cards, so the deck is like face down, right? But on the backs of the cards is the symbol for what Carnegie will most likely want to do on their turn. Okay. Depending on the difficulty you're playing on, you shuffle in a certain amount that have a question mark, right? So I don't know, I played medium difficulty. You don't quote me on how many I shuffled in, but we'll call it 5 or 6 or whatever. So those ones you don't know, but otherwise, like, you know, they're going to want to do HR. Okay. So then you won't do HR, or you could, but most likely you won't do HR because they're going to do it the next round. I remember what was big about this. In my random setup, so you have the 4 tracks, right? 3 of the tracks, the donation was 2, the donation was at the end. 1, it was the 3rd out of 4 spots. So it was a high scoring game because a lot of times in the random you have donations super early, and like you just kind of have to donate to something or you
random.
Don't, right? You don't have the money for it. In this case, I had 3 that basically came at the end of the game, and 1 that was early. So I think I skipped the early one, and then I did those 3 plus the 4 other donations. So I had 7 donations because I had so much money built up ready for those donations. So it was just a really good random setup for me.
Did you enjoy the solo?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's a tough thing for me to tell because I would always rather play with people. So like this is one I always rather play with people, but I think the solo did good. There was plenty of times that it messed me up.
I mean, that's kind of,
put it that way.
That's kind of the game.
It interacts very interestingly. Like, it took so many of, like, normally I build out a pretty big workplace. It took so many of those tiles, just kind of the luck of what it did. It took a ton, and I did not get to do much track expansion or whatever, like
from city to city.
No, pulling out the the expansion of that kind of stuff, which also meant I didn't get to do because I wasn't getting to play a lot of disc out. But yeah, I enjoyed playing it. I did it one morning and it was nice and crunchy.
Yeah, interesting. This is one that when we first got it, we were very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a fantastic game still. It's one that I've yet to play more than 2 players, and I've really wanted to play it at the 3 or 4 player count because any game where you control the turn, right? So the higher the player count, the more you have to react, right? Yeah. You only get 1 out of 4, 25% of the time you get to control. The rest is fully reacting. So I think that'd be a lot of fun. Well,
there's another BGG game.
Yeah. So.
And you know it already, and I haven't played it in years, but I'll remember it.
Yeah, absolutely.
This was you.
Yeah.
Or was it me? No, I played it last month. This is you. Or maybe 2 months ago. I live streamed it at one point. This one's definitely you.
Yeah. I played with the specialist expansion. It was fine. The bot was very hard. I won by exactly 1 point. I played, I think, the hard bot, the 3rd out of 4 different.
Yeah, because then there's the insane after that.
The bot took everything I wanted the entire game from the very beginning. The very first thing I wanted to do, it did. Yeah, Michael, you do. This is a game I love and would play anytime, many times. I think I don't know. I just really enjoy the mechanics of this game. But yeah, it was I think the special expansion was pretty cool. I think I mentioned to you, it becomes not vital and you have to get it, but a vital and you have to interact with it once it's a part of the game, right? You will always score less than the person that does interact with it, so you have to interact with it. But I think it's really cool. I also think because of that, because of this mechanic, scores will always be heavily inflated.
Okay.
Because it's very easy to never have setbacks in the area.
In the negotiation.
Because you can now put specialist dice out there.
Those are the dice that have like no pip numbers on there, right?
Yeah, so they can be whatever pip number you want.
Oh, okay.
Is how they work. So you put those out there, as well as there's now 5 to negotiate. So there's like zero reason you ever need to put 2 3s on one, right? You just go to a different one or something like that. So to me, I'm okay with that. Like, I think it's not a big deal. I never found setbacks to be much of a problem anyway, or much of a restraint. Most of the time, if I was knowing I was going to get a setback, right, I'm just going to take whatever is the least. Here's 1 ruby, or whatever is the least beneficial anyway. Yeah. So I don't think it's that big of a deal.
The newest negotiation that it adds, I'm assuming it's a water resource, right?
Yeah, one's a water and one's an objective based one. So it's have 3 of your specialist locked into boards. Have negotiated 5 times. Have turned in 4 contracts.
That's pretty cool.
There's one other, at least for the 1 and 2 player game, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, so it's objective based, and they all reward 5 points.
Yeah,
right? So.
And I mean, it just adds more of what we absolutely love about this game, is just those asymmetric, broken player abilities, or that seem broken, and then you look at somebody else's and it's like, oh, yours is just as good, but in a different way.
Yeah, and the specialist boards interact pretty cool. So like we would each have a unique one that has a unique ability, right? And it can be like, oh, I have a really sweet ability and I want to do it, right? But I could go do it. And at first it will seem like a bummer, but you actually get a reward if somebody else goes to a different player goes to your board, right? So like it's this, well, while yes, I have a sweet ability, really, I kind of want you to use my sweet ability.
That's cool.
Because I get, some rewards for it.
I like that. Just boosts a little bit more player interaction.
And I really like your specialist ability, but I kind of don't want you to get rewards. So do I go over there, letting you get the rewards, but I also get that really cool ability? So it is neat how it does that, for sure. And then, it has like a little tier system where each specialist you get unlocks more stuff.
More things, yeah.
That's
awesome. Yeah, I'll have to try that one out. I ordered it over the summer, still haven't read the rule book.
Yeah,
so
I got this.
It was over the summer as well.
I got it in June.
Yep, that's when I got the expansion.
And I bought the expansion, and then I played it without the expansion just to play it again. And I was like, to me, it felt like, oh, I had just done that. And I look back and I'm like, oh, that was 5 months ago that I did that.
It's the problem with too many games. Connecto. So this one was actually me at school. So I've had the chance to play some games with some of the kids, mainly because I've just had, thankfully, not many 6th graders. And so get to just kind of play some games with them when there's not a lot of them there, and this was one of the ones that we played. So Connecto is just a drawing kind of game. Basically, you get a player board, and there's all those symbols that you see on the screen on the board. And then there's a challenge card, and this challenge card has all those different symbols on them, but just kind of like in this weird, funky kind of shape. So what you do is you have a little timer, you flip that timer over, and with your little dry erase pens, you're trying to connect those shapes, those images, and eventually you'll make some type of design. So for example, this design here, right, is I guess a cat, maybe a fox. So once you have your design drawn on your board, there's a little section at the bottom that just, allows you to write what you think it is. So you just write it on there, flip it over. You're the first one done. You get a certain amount of points. Anybody else that gets it right gets a certain amount of points. It's a fun little game. It's nothing hard. It's nothing very difficult. Just trying to find the shapes and stuff like that's fun. And then, of course, just trying to play some games with the kids. Definitely not one that I would ever play at a game night, but, with some kids, it's fun to do it.
I have played this game at some point in
You
my
played
life.
it with me and you.
Okay.
We played it once.
Okay, I'm like,
Yeah.
this looks so familiar to
Yep.
me, and I
We
was
played
trying
it
to
once.
place. I don't remember when or where.
Absolutely once, right here.
Okay, so Connecto.
Yep.
Creature
Caravan. So this is the newest game by Red Raven Games. Another dice worker placement game where you have a player board, and on this player board there's a bunch of different actions. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 actions on your player board, and you have 5 dice. So you just roll them, you place them on where you want to go. So it's things like movement, things like gathering resources, trading, attacking, and then you have a deck of cards. And with this deck of cards, you need to play them into your caravan. And these cards just give you different abilities. So it can be new worker spots. It can be ongoing abilities to like manipulate your dice or to make specific creatures less expensive, stuff like that. So it's one that I've really enjoyed playing. I actually live streamed a solo play of it a couple months ago. Did a couple things wrong on it. But I have played it a couple times since, and I'm just having a ton of fun with it. My wife and I got to play it, and as soon as we finished, I think I beat her by like 1 or 2 points. Immediately, she was just like, "Rack it up, we're doing it again." And what's funny with that is last time we played at D20, it was above and below, and she did the exact same thing. Just rack it up, let's play it again. So anytime I get any type of Red Raven game, it's like you and I, we're playing this together. I know this is like games that you enjoy. These are games that I enjoy. And yeah, it's just really cool. You've got this giant stack of cards, and you're just digging through them, trying to make some awesome combos that work. And yeah, just a really fun, great game. Really enjoyed it.
Okay, that was Creature Caravans. Cubito. So, this is the first game. How long did it take to play Creature Caravans?
I can tell you. I want to say about an hour or so, but I'll give you a specific here in a second. You can keep talking about Cubitos.
Yeah, so I had my family weekend a couple weekends ago. So my brother and sister-in-law will play games with us, and they don't play like heavyweight games by any means, so Cubitos is like the perfect one to play. And I lost this match by 1 square, right? So it's like whoever crossed the line, or if multiple people, it's whoever made it the furthest. That was 1 square. Hannah just like did well. That's the best way to put it. Hannah got a lot of she didn't do nothing tricky. She just got movement dice, right? Like if it had a foot, it had a movement.
In a race, you got to move.
I like got all kinds of sweet combination like dice and shedded a bunch of dice, and it was just, I was like streamlining it, and then it came truly to a foot race down at the end, and yeah, she beat me by 1 square, but we had a lot of fun, and we put it at 4, and I think it was an excellent game. Derek pushed his luck like every round, and like by the end had so many fans because you just don't get to do
busting.
Yeah, you bust and you don't get to do nothing but collect fans. It was quite a running joke, but yeah, it was
funny.
Cubitos.
Michael, Creature Caravan took 1 hour and 10 minutes at 2 players. I've also played it at 4. That was about 1 hour 45, and solo is about 1 hour, so 15 minutes per player or so, something like that. Or added onto the hour.
Yeah, I was like, wait.
Yeah, added to the hour. Yeah.
Go there.
So like 1 hour for solo play, then about 15 minutes per player after that.
Makes sense. Ezra and Nehemiah. We talked about this last month, so won't go.
Yeah, it's a quick one. Did I play this or did you play this?
I played it toward the beginning of the month, and then we just talked about it. This is the round I went heavy into red.
That's right.
And just wrecked the bot.
Oh, Ken, Zombicide is Z. That's at the end. You've got plenty.
We're working our way there, Ken. But yeah, we don't have to go too much into it because I know we talked about it last month. But Ezra and Nehemiah have been playing it more and more, liking it. Just think the solo is really bad.
Haven't improved on the solo as much. You don't think it's gotten any better?
The bot, like,
here's what happens. Random.
Right? Like I've been playing the hard bot every time, right? Now I just crush the hard bot.
Yeah.
The problem is, I'm now getting better, so the bot literally stands zero chance, right?
True.
Like this is we'll call it 6th, 7th play of the game, right? At this point, that bot stands zero chance to win the game.
Yeah.
Right, and there's no way, and I do understand, there's no way to improve the bot, right?
Yeah.
It's the difference between the easy bot and the hard bot is,
I think it's like 15 victory points or something like that, maybe 20.
It gets one more gold at the beginning, and then like the way it scores points is just different.
Yeah.
But it's just how it scores points. Other than that, it's the same deck of cards, so it's going to do the exact same thing in both games.
It's true.
I don't know. I just personally think the solo's not great, but I also will probably continue to play solo because it's my only way of getting to play the game. So
I will play this one with you anytime. It's just that when we get together, we don't.
Yeah, we just don't ever have time
we have
to
so many other games.
Play something like this, right? So, Ezra and Nehemiah.
Forbidden Island, this is another one that I got to play at school. So this is a cooperative game where you are on an island of tiles, and there's 4 treasures on this island, and you're just trying to collect the treasures and escape the island. So everybody has different player abilities, like being able to go on sunken lands, being able to swim through water, moving diagonally instead of orthogonally adjacent, a pilot, so moving people, just different kind of player powers like that. This is a really good intro into co-ops, I feel like. And I really enjoy playing this one with students because there is no feel bad of you did something bad to me, you did this kind of thing, right? Now I will say I do have to step in a lot of the time. It's like, hey, literally, if you just did this, right? I feel like Devin when I'm playing it, right? Like, because I'm actually better than them. But a lot of times I'm also just like, are you sure that's what you want to do? They're like, yeah. I'm like, all right, let's go with the flow, right? You got to let them make those choices. But it's fun. It's a nice little game. Once there's a Waters Rise card, which makes some of the islands flip over. You can flip them back over, but if you don't, they leave the island, so then it leaves like an empty space. Then you can't move through it. Once I've played this one enough with a certain amount of kids, we just start doing random maps, and there's a website out there that gives you like a bunch of different random ones. So it just changes it up a little bit, and it plays really quickly. And like I said, it's just a good way to get the kids talking in a healthy way and communicating and socializing and stuff like that. So Forbidden Island, a really good one for those younger gamers, and it's still fun.
Forges of Ravenshire.
Forges of Ravenshire, another dice worker placement game. I soloed this one 3 times. Twice on the easy, once on the medium. The easy one was very easy. I destroyed the bot on that one. The medium is a good step up, and I think that's a good challenge. But Forges of Ravenshire, like I said, dice worker placement. You have 3 dice, and it uses the Raiders of the North Sea, Raiders of Scythia mechanic, where you place a dice, you place a worker, you do whatever action is on there, and then you pull another dice and you get that action as well. So what's cool about this one is the pip value. Sometimes rolling high is better, sometimes rolling low is better. Rolling medium is never really that good. It's just kind of, it's medium, it's just kind of whatever. But what's really cool about it is you have, you do all that, and then really it goes into this resource management kind of phase. So where you have contracts and you need to have specific resources to fulfill those contracts. But there's ways to turn I think it's called cinder and ore into steel, or turn your wood into cinder. So you do that during the production phase. Now, the thing that's cool is you can't get new contracts during the production phase. So during the gathering phase, you have to get those contracts and then try to fill them during the production phase. So like, let's say you finish the production phase and you have a whole bunch of resources left over. You can't just be like, oh, I want to get this contract that I know I can fulfill. You have to have some pre-planning done beforehand. So the only issue that I can see with that game is multiplayer. There being some AP with that, right? Like really trying to min-max, oh, I need exactly this many to get this exact amount of resource, and oh, I can finish this contract with it and this one. So I could see a lot of AP happening in that. But, playing this one solo, really quickly not doing that, I'm getting to play it in about an hour. I've played it at 3 as well. And I think that was about an hour and a half. So another relatively quick one. It only plays over 4 rounds. There are some asymmetric abilities that you can add in as well. I haven't done those. But yeah, Forges is good, and it's been fun. And I think we're actually going to try to live stream it later this month. So we'll see what you think about it then.
That's right. I'm excited to try it. Hadrian's Wall. Last time I have to talk about this, I know that I finally finished Fort 16, 14?
16, I think.
16, whatever it was.
You finished the campaign.
I finished the campaign. It is done, put to bed. Yeah, I'm excited. The last one, I don't even remember. It went fine. Mm-hmm. I beat it. That was all that matters. So I had a flawless campaign.
Did you not lose any of them?
I was able to do all the bonus objectives. Technically, I did lose one. I had one that was a straight loss. So my start, it was actually pretty funny. I remember it was one that you had to get so far on, I think the yellow is renown track, and score X amount. The first attack.
Pick attack?
Yeah. So I had 2 covered. It hit the 1, right? The second pick attack, I had, I don't remember exact number covered, right? It did 2 on the same side, and I didn't have that one. Yep. The third pick attack did that same side, and then something else. Oh, then the very last pick attack was super weighted. So I had beefy protections, and it was something like 6 of the 8 cards were one side, right? And at that point I was pretty lost anyway, because to do the other just regular objective, I couldn't afford to waste so much in the baths. So I lost it. Then the next one, I had zero problem with it.
We've talked about that with Hadrian's Wall. Like those first 2 pick attacks really determine
the first
how
2.
your game is going to go.
If you can make it past the first 2, you should never get hit. That's unless it's just bad luck. And you can have bad luck like that game, right? And think of it this way. So I played, we'll call it, adding that one in, 17 games of it, plus however many else, right? You're bound to get one that's gonna just not go in your favor. But taking that out, because I was just straight up loss, I was able to do the rest of them and complete all the bonuses. So I call that a win.
Well, I'll start up the campaign again, and then you guys can hear me talk about it for the next 12 months.
16
I think I'm on number 4 already, okay. I actually don't even remember which fort I'm on.
So that is Hadrian's Wall. Joan of Arc, another rolling right. So I got
Orleans rolling right.
I got this relatively recently. it's neat. It has that same Orleans feel-ish, but plays very differently. You have the same tiles or disc as you
Workers, I guess.
Yeah, disc. But instead of having your own, it's a shared group that you're drafting, and then so whatever you draft the farmer, you get to do X, and you draft the
monk.
knight and you do Y, or monk you do Z. And there's some engine building in it with getting different cards that make it where when you draft a farmer, not only are you getting to do X, but you also get to do Y with it. Point salady, right?
Yeah.
Like I think most roll and writes that I can think of. They're all pretty basic point salads. But yeah, it was pretty neat. The solo was fine. It's, I think, one that's significantly better at more players, so it's really hard for me to tell because there's like things where if I'm the first to do something, you have to cross it off and you cannot do it. And the bot was just like, arbitrarily, you drew that card.
It's like, you
right?
can't do this one anymore.
And it's like an end game one, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, the third round.
I'm done with this track.
Yeah, the third round, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not gonna. But it kind of makes it easy, right? Like, I just won't focus on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay,
like,
you've eliminated that option
yeah,
for me.
exactly. So I think because of that, it was like, oh, okay, well.
So the only thing with that is like if you had committed to that row and like halfway through or something, right? Then it comes out. It's like, well, that feels real bad.
But that's more, I guess, like a real play, right?
That's
like
true.
That's the
true.
point. We're actually racing for it. Whereas, I don't know, it was just weird. That's the best way to put it. I was like, okay, I'm not doing that. Like, that was kind of how it felt. Like, all right, you got that one.
So is it like you're rolling dice and you're drafting something based on the dice, or is it just like a...
No rolling. It's just pulling out of a bag.
Oh, okay.
It's all the chips are in a bag. Whatever, there's 50 of them, we'll call it. And I don't know if that's the exact number. I don't know if 10 rounds. But you're going to play 5 chips at a time, 10 rounds, reset the bag, do that again, game's over.
I see. Interesting.
Yeah, so that was the Joan of Arc Orleans Roll and Write.
Kinfire Delve. I don't remember which one I played. I played Criss Lab, so I did not play Scorn Stockade this month. But Criss Lab, I actually got to live stream this one, and I won it. I think that was the first game that I won of that one, and I actually won it in a like some event. Some card that I had gotten like at the beginning was if this card has a certain amount of progress on that, when you reach the bottom of the well, you win the game. And on like my very last turn or something like that, like I drew a card out that gave me progress, and it was just like sheer luck that I won it that way. So that was actually really cool. This is a dungeon crawler-esque game. I've talked about it a couple months now, but basically you just have a stack of 57 cards. There's a boss in the middle, and then there's 4 challenges around them. Anytime you defeat one of those challenges, you flip out a new card, and then you can defeat that. There is a whenever you defeat challenges, sometimes you get to dig through that deck, discard the well, dive down the well is what it's called, and it will say like delve 5 cards down. So you just draw the top 5 off the deck and you just put them down, don't even look at them. So whenever you play this game, the cards aren't going to come out in the same order, obviously, and so those cards a lot of times will have effects on each other. Like one of them is if you have 2 of the cards with the same name out here, you need 1 more progress to defeat them. So like if it's a 9, if you have 2 of them out there, they're both 10s kind of thing. So it really is just the luck of the draw of what's coming out and how you can defeat them. You only have 10 health throughout this game, and it's very hard to regain health with it. So it's very challenging. To this point, between all 3 games, I've probably played, I don't know, 8, 9 of them. And in total, I think, excuse me, I think I've only won 1 for sure there, 2, maybe 3. I know for sure I've won 2, maybe 3. So it's pretty challenging. I think if you like the Final Girl kind of solos, you would enjoy this game. I personally like this one a lot more than Final Girl. I feel like that you have a little more control on this one than, say, a Final Girl. So really enjoying this one and still playing them. So that's a good sign.
I think so. All right. Next up, King of Tokyo. I have to assume this is a school game.
This is a school game, yes. So going back to what I said earlier, with the Forbidden Island being a good co-op, because you can't get upset at each other for doing something, this one, kids can get very upset at each other for being targeted. So, King of Tokyo is just a one versus all King of the Hill style game with just chunking dice in a Yahtzee style, getting to keep some, getting to re-roll some. It's just one versus all. Honestly, it's not my favorite game, because as a teacher and when I play this with students, they're all going to gang up on me at the first, so I'm always the first one out of this game. So my strategy is just always try to just go in Tokyo and just melee as much as possible, because if not, they're going to be attacking me anyway. But it's fun. It's enjoyable to play with them. It's not one that I will ever play on my own any other time. They've got a whole bunch of different versions. Like Ken said there, they've got the dark version. I know they have like Halloween monsters and other types of monsters and stuff. So,
Ken, what is the dark version? I'm curious.
I'm actually not sure what that is either.
Also,
I think it's the new one.
I didn't realize this. Richard Garfield is the guy who invented Magic the Gathering.
Yes.
I just saw.
I did know that.
I just saw his name there, and I was like, oh, that's very interesting.
I'm going to assume, because I don't know anything about Magic, but I'm assuming they play completely different.
Gathering has nothing to do with any of this.
With no dice or anything like that?
You both start at 20 life? You start at 20 life in this?
No, you start at 10.
Oh, okay.
Then you can go up to 12.
It has a new meter for using 1, 2, and
so
3.
in King of Tokyo, there's 1, 2, and 3s, and if you roll 3 1s, you get 1 star. First person to 20 stars is the winner.
Got it.
Permanent power-ups. Okay. And that's actually kind of the fun part of the game, is those power-ups, and you have those upgrades, right? So you're gaining those energies.
Which is probably why the dark version, right? To have more ways of getting that kind of stuff or whatnot. Like that makes a lot of sense. So imagine King of Tokyo both have unfair targeting. Hey.
There you go. So there's some differences.
Michael is a commander player, I see. Yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, that's King of Tokyo.
Kunora.
Hey, this was the one that we played together.
This is the one this is the one I was thinking of. I don't know.
I know the other one. This is the one that I forgot about.
This is the one that I remembered playing together. So yeah, we got to play Kunora. It's a sweet little economy game where everything you do changes the value of items, everything, and everything you do costs items or resources, and so you have to manipulate things to benefit you while also not benefiting your opponent, and I think it's really a sweet game. I really enjoyed it.
It was really, really fun, and I loved the little counters for the supply and demand, right? And the timing was very important, because there was a couple times and when you were playing it, where it was like, man, I really want to do this, but that's gonna like up the supply of wood, and that's what I need, right? Like I would need to take an income for that wood, and if I do this, it's gonna screw my income phase. And I think afterwards, our play, we both came away from it really enjoying it, but really wanting to play it with more than just 2 of us. Going back to Carnegie, right? It's one of those things where there's gonna be a lot more reaction to it, right? Like I'm gonna do something, and then you do the next thing. When we have another player or 2 other players, by the time it gets back to you, your resource may have just been tanked, right? So And the fact that at 2 players, you control 3 resources, I control 3 resources, that's it. When you have more players, me and the other person control 1, and you and the other person control another one. So there's just way more of that push and pull, supply and demand thing that I think the game will really shine with.
I looked into it, and because I was curious, how did they have an overlap? And the 3-player actually seems pretty cool. You share with each other person one, and then you have one thing that only you have. Right.
Interesting.
And I thought because I was like, how do you do it? 2 and 1, like, or something like that. And no, I think that's pretty cool that you still have like one thing, whatever, wood. I control the wood. This is
mine, yeah.
But I share ore and rights with you or whatnot. And so, I don't know, I think that's kind of a cool way to do it. I honestly think the way all the mechanics worked, whether it was the whatever one you had,
the mining at the bottom,
technologies, you know, but it gave you more ore doing it, so you're helping everybody, but then you're getting more ore out of it. I don't know, just all the ways the different ones worked.
It was really cool. You could tell that there was like a lot of thought put into how the game is going to work for everybody, right? And even with that, afterwards, you know, I was kind of reading a little bit more about the game. The way that the city building actually works, the designer talked about how, if you remember the blue buildings, there was no blue symbols on the outer edge of the board. And he said because in real life, Kunora, those blue ones, which I think were like the rights or like the businesses or something like that, those are in the center of Kunora, and he wanted to make it similar to real life. So he was just like, those have to go there, and everything else will go in there. So you could tell like there's a lot of research that went into this game. And I don't know. I think it was very, very good at 2, and I'm very excited to play it at 3 or 4.
Yeah, absolutely. Legendary, played it again. Been having a lot of fun going through this. Honestly, I've still been going back through the base game, so I can't even remember. I played Loki, did I? I think I played Loki this month. I couldn't tell you what heroes I played. I'd have to go look. But yeah, I've just been really enjoying Legendary. I have so much content to go through. I have so many expansions. I have some small box expansions I haven't opened that I bought 10 plus years ago. So yeah, just really been enjoying Legendary again.
Okay, so go back real quick. Last month we talked about you were going to start tracking your solos. Was that for Legendary or for
honestly, it works for both, but it was really for Marvel Champions.
Okay.
And I've left it be because I'm just not committed to screwing up my win rate, which to me is the most important thing.
Okay.
Okay. If you want to talk about the most important thing in gaming for Devin,
win rate.
It is win rate. Above all. So
got it.
I've not wanted to screw it up just yet.
Got it. Lords of Waterdeep. So the same night that we played Creature Caravan, my wife and I, we also played Lords of Waterdeep. This is the first worker placement game that I ever played. And I remember very vividly you introducing this game to us. This must have been almost 10 years ago now, 2015, something like that, 2016, something.
It was, we had been in this house, right?
So that would have been 2017 at least.
Yeah, it would have been 2017.
Yeah. So about 7 years ago. And I remember you introing it as saying, all right, we're going to take a step up in our, you didn't say weight at the time, but a step up in strategy for our games. And so ever since that, I was like, wow, I love worker placement. Like, this is what I really like. So this is, one of the most known worker placement games that's set in the Dungeons and Dragons world in Waterdeep. But really, there is no theme to this game. It's just orange cubes, purple cubes, black cubes, and white cubes.
Come on, it's fighters, clerics, mages, and rogues.
Okay, theme person. It's just
it's a screaming theme. It's the most theme.
So what you do is you get your worker, and you go get more clerics, right? It's like, hey, clerics, come with me. And then you're just completing contracts.
Quests.
To
be clear.
You're right.
Which also
you are right.
Are screaming in theme. If you read what they are, it makes sense on why you need to send 5 mages to go clear out.
Coming from the person that
clear
doesn't
out
care
the
about
witch's
fate.
den. Makes a lot of sense.
So there is tons of theme in it, apparently. But this is a game that my wife and I, we both have the app, and we both play the app quite a bit. But just having it in person was so much fun, and it brought up a ton of just memories of playing this game at my house, and remembering what it was like to get into the hobby. And my wife and I, we crushed it. I ended up I got 200 points. She got, 180 or so. And it just felt good just to I'm throwing all of these people in there. We're completing this quest. I'm getting this many points. And, oh, you're doing this. You're getting all these points. Or, oh, here's your plot quest. You have to finish this one before you do the other one. It was just a ton of fun and really enjoyed it. I still think it's a top worker placement game. And I'm going to, I like it. Lords of Waterdeep.
Yeah, I think it is a Mac Daddy great game. I just don't play it much anymore. So there it is, Marvel Champions. So this month I did the Galaxy's Most Wanted campaign, been going through them. I played SpiderMan and Nova. So SpiderMan came out of the core box, Nova, one of the billion packs that they got. And yeah, this is by far my least favorite of the expansion boxes. A lot of people think this one is very overtuned, to the point that they have errata in the core rules to fix or make some things easier in this. But they responded to the one I did last month was considered notoriously easy.
Red Skull?
The Rise of the Red Skull. So that was the first one, Fantasy Flight, okay, we'll solve that. Tuned it too hard, right? And then since then, they've really hit their stride. But, it was learning. The first 2 boxes, one's way too easy, one's way too hard. They do have some neat bosses in this one, for sure. But, again, like Legendary, I've just been enjoying going through, picking 2 heroes and taking them through. I think I lost 2 games, so it's 5, so whatever.
Who's the big boss on this one?
Ronan.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's you. Who do you start with? I don't remember who the first one is. And then you go fight the Collector twice. Ken, I have thought about it. I do think toward the beginning of the year I am for sure going to do it and Legendary. I just got to figure out when and what exactly I'm going to do for it. But I'm going to stream these for sure. But you fight the Collector twice in 2 different ways. The first one is a garbage fight, not good. Second one is pretty cool. Then you fight Nebula, and then you fight Ronan.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, I cannot for the life of me think who the first one is. The whole mechanic of the box is you have control of the Guardian's ship, and it lets you do special stuff, but there's always something bad that you could have it handle the bad thing, or it could be really cool for you type of thing. So
when you play these, do you one-shot them? Is that how long does each round last?
That is always iffy. I would say somewhere in 30 minutes to 90 minutes.
Oh, okay.
So I don't.
Pretty good range there.
Yeah.
And each one is 5 battles.
No. I don't one shot. Each scenario
is
of
30 to 90 minutes.
Yeah. So.
And there's 5 scenarios.
Yeah. So you average it. Call it an hour. It takes 7 hours if you lose twice to do the whole campaign. So that's probably about right.
That's not bad.
No, I just did it across some mornings. So I will be moving on to, what is the next one? Oh, the Mad Titan Shadow, Thanos. But not this month. So I'll skip this month. Marvel United, talking about all 3 of these, so I'm gonna just be brief on this one. Been really enjoying this too. It's just quick, easy. I've told you it's put up in 15 minutes from the second you take it off the shelf.
I think I want to play it, honestly.
Yeah, it's super fun. Have you played Lords of Waterdeep with...
Yes.
So, Michael, I personally consider that a essential expansion. I will not play it any other way than with
Devin just likes corruption.
Skullport. Yeah, but I think with the...
No, it really does add
the
a lot.
mountain adding kind of beefier stuff that way is good as well. It also helps the intrigue deck not have as much take that. So... and I think in the rules, maybe I'm making this up, that it says you can play without those.
Without the take that, or without the negative
without
ones.
The take that part. But,
yeah, we've talked about it. We think Skullport is terrific expansion for the game.
Absolutely. But I love how the corruption mechanic works in that, where everybody is getting corruption, and it all starts off being so little points
that it's just like,
against
just
you.
give me more.
But then it
snowballs.
it snowballs into where it just is going to be a lot of negative points. I don't know. I think it's really cool how that corruption mechanic works. I don't know that I've seen anything like it in a game. Point Salad.
Point Salad, another school game. This is my tricky way to get the kids to do some math, because that's all this game is. So Point Salad is just it's the first game in the Point whatever kind of series, right? Point City, and they just announced Point Galaxy or Point Universe or something like that. But basically you have some cards on the top, and it's a scoring conditions, and then you have 6 vegetables on the bottom, the ones that are there on the screen. So like one of the scoring conditions could be like 2 points for every pepper that you have, but -1 for every lettuce and -1 for every onion. So you're just going to be trying to get peppers. Or it can be, having one of each different one gets you 7 points. So really the game is just drafting scoring conditions or vegetables, and then just trying to have the best tableau by the end of the game. Kids have really been enjoying this one. I've been destroying them every single time on this one. They haven't been close to me on it.
Crushed them.
And it's just because I know basic
Students
math.
don't know anything.
Yeah, I know basic math, and that's all this game is. Is just trying to map out what is the best thing for you. So it's been fun. I really like it. It plays in 15 minutes. I think I prefer this one to Point City. I don't know. I do like Point City, but if I want a quick Point Salad-y type of game, this is the one that I'm going to go for. So, yeah.
David, very interesting that Marvel United's on there. I don't often like to do Tabletop Simulator because it's just cumbersome. And if I'm going to be on my computer, I'm most likely going to be playing a video game that I want to be playing. But that interests me enough to try it, because I would like to try some of these millions of heroes that they have, but I was never going to
buy them,
spend the millions of dollars that it takes.
David, how many seasons of Marvel United do you have? Actually, you might know that answer too.
Marvel's amazing, though. Super well made, easy to play. Wait, I'll try it. You know what? I will.
You've convinced me.
Yeah, I'll subscribe.
You've twisted my arm.
Subscribe to the workshop and see what happens. You got me. Maybe I'll report on that next month.
Praga Kaput Regni. Another one that I've been playing quite a bit. It is
it's a couple months in a row.
Yeah, it's a couple months in a row. This one, Vladimir Suchi game. I have really been enjoying his designs, which is good because we've got, I think, like 5 or 6 of his games now. Yeah, this is just a 2020, but it feels like just a classic Euro where you're just doing different actions and gathering points.
Not super classic.
Yeah, it's not super, but it feels just like an old school Euro. That's kind of what it is, right? So you've got a really cool action selection disc, Only
right,
time that you flip the table.
Yeah. I'm excited to play this
Yeah,
one.
there you go. I would love to hear that story. But yeah, it's just got a really cool action selection wheel where it's got a little tile and it's got 2 actions on it, and you got to pick one of the 2 actions. 3 different sections. You can either pay for an action, you can get an action for free, or if it's in the blue section, you get a bonus for selecting that action. And then really I want to say there's 6 different things that you can do. You can build out the city of Prague. You can go up one of well, that's not an action that you choose. You can do the walls around your player board. You can upgrade your player board. And then you can get these little bonus actions of connecting things together, move up the cathedral, move up the hunger wall. And then you're just getting points basically from everything that you're doing. The solo says a score, just like any Suchi game is. We think a score of this is a good solo score. So that one I think is 145. So I've been able to pretty much do that on every play that I've been doing now. So I think I finally got the hang of the game, or at least to what I think. But then, reading forums and stuff, people are scoring up in the 200s, 230s, and I'm just like, oh, I'm really not that great of it, kind of thing. So it's fun. It's one that I'm actually really excited for you to play, and we've talked about it. We're going to have a Suchi day someday in the future and just play a bunch of his games.
One day.
Yep, one Suchi day.
Okay. Quacks. So another one that, as I said, when I play games with my brother and sister-in-law, they are not dummy simple. I don't want to put it like that, but they're simple games, but
they're not this shelf.
Right, they're like Cubitos. Yeah, they're Cubitos, Eldorado, Quacks. I think those are like all the same game basically. And so we played Quacks. I got the Alchemist expansion long ago, and talking about essential expansions, for me to play Quacks, it is an essential expansion because it just adds more to the game.
Is this the one that adds the stuff on top?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like it adds more strategy to the game, which I think it needs. For me to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's just a push your luck game. Otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it adds cool asymmetric abilities, and yeah, we just enjoyed it. And this game always has a runaway leader problem, and then I busted on the last round and lost.
Were you the runaway leader?
So Derek and I were like, he was chasing me neck and neck around the board. He was probably always like 3 points behind me, and then I busted in
at the
last round of the game.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it was terrible. The thing was, we had hit a point where I was in a bad spot. He was going to surpass me if I did not at least keep attempting. Yeah. So,
you're pretty much going to lose either way.
I was in a lose-lose scenario. Yeah. If I stopped, I would have lost. I had to keep going and hope to get lucky. So, and I didn't, but that was Quacks. Rococo, Lacey and I played this.
I was wondering. I was like, how did you play this one solo?
Yeah,
I don't think it does.
Lacey and I played this. She absolutely loved it. I absolutely crushed her. But she still absolutely loved the game.
That's awesome.
She got it right away. Now, Lacey enjoys deck builders, right? Like Dominion, Claim. These are games that she really enjoys. So I don't have to explain to her in recruiting cards or trashing cards. Like, she knows that.
Knows the mechanic,
right? Yeah. And she, the first turn of the game, did exactly what I wanted to do, and then turn 2 did exactly what I wanted to do, and I'm like, are you serious? You're doing great.
You're like, I hate that you know how to play these.
Yeah, so honestly, where I ended up edging out, and truthfully, had we played immediately after, scores would have been much closer. I explained all the rules, and I explained that the last round of cards are going to have in-game scoring. she wasn't prepared for that like I was prepared for that, right? And so like when the last rounds of cards came, I got tons of points. She got virtually no points. If you took out those cards from the scoring, we would have been
very close.
Very close. So like had she gotten a couple, I gotten a couple. She did really well, but she wants to play it again, which was cool because I think it was sweet. And I honestly had forgot everything about the game until I opened it up and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this game. It's awesome.
Yeah, I remember playing this one, and I've only played it once, but I remember absolutely loving it. And like I mentioned, I'm not the biggest deck builder fan, but this one did really cool with deck building. With it, I think it goes straight into your hand, right? Is that right? Or it did something different.
Yeah.
It does, so it goes straight into your hand. And so like you actually get that ability, you get to use whatever you see, which is always a problem that I have, is like, oh well, I'll use this in 3 more turns.
Yeah,
or
so
whatever.
it's that. There's 2 mechanics. One, when you recruit, goes straight in your hand. The second is you get to look at your entire deck and decide the 4 or 5 cards that you want to use, right? And like any deck builder, you got to use these cards first before doing your discard. But anyway.
And I remember talking about it afterwards, and I'm sure you probably felt the same way now, but the little area control of the rooms, right? Like, area control just doesn't generally work at 2 players as much, right? So yeah, I definitely want to play it again. And Eagle Gryphon came out with the deluxe version of it that just looks 10 times better.
Doesn't you like that artwork style?
I do.
It's the same one of all the Lacerda games, right?
It's
Ian O'Toole artwork style.
Yeah, sure. Carnegie.
I don't pay attention to no artist, but I
like it.
I don't. To me, like, that artwork style doesn't go with like the theme of this game. The theme of this game is like colors, right? And like you're making these colorful outfits, right? And that artwork style to me is, I don't know, the best way to describe it is industrial with colors. Like it's always whiteboards that are outlined in it's outlined colors type of thing.
I can see what you mean.
And so to me, it's like, well, this like is the artwork that is like the theme, right? Look at it; it's a gold ballroom, with the colorful dresses, and that literally, it's the same. It looks, the board looks identical to Kanban EV's board, right? And so, like, to me, it's
on the deluxe version or this
on
one?
the deluxe version, right? Identical to Kanban EV's board, and I'm like, that just doesn't seem like it goes with me making these colorful dresses and watching fireworks. And
so to me, I kind of see it like a, it's pristine, it's like elegant, like it's more like modern kind of thing, right? Like let's not mess it up, let's not touch it. This is a fancy event that we want to go to, and you got to keep it kind of clean, kind of thing. That's what I think of it when I see that. So I don't know.
I guess that's the thing with art, right? Everybody sees art differently.
But either way, gameplay is awesome, and I will.
Now, what I think is probably much better about the deluxe version, I'm sure they fixed tweaks. Like, there was one time we had 2 people that were identical in what they required, right? It was, I don't know, 2 green and a white silk or whatever, right? Both required that exact same thing. One was worth 20 points, the other was worth 15, right? Like,
and you're like, I want yours.
Yeah, and I'm like, we both were like, that doesn't make sense, And that happened a couple times. I'm like, I'm sure the new version, like,
fix those things up.
Fix those little things that, like, because you're drawing randomly in a bag, it's like, oh, they're just random point values and whatnot. But, like, I'm sure there was a bit more thought put into it. But anyway, that was Rococo. Sagrada, another one.
Nice.
Lacey and I played. This was one of our family game night games because Lena likes to roll the dice, right? So it makes a lot of sense to play one like this where it has
all the dice.
Heaps and heaps of dice, and roll all these, and then mommy and daddy draft them out, and here's 5 more to roll.
So just keep rolling while we're placing.
And we had a brutal game, low scoring game. We both, I don't remember exactly what happened, but like one color just was slammed hard in the beginning. And we're like, can we please stop getting reds, you know, whenever like we've just started and we're very limited on our space. And so, I don't know, I think I had 2 empty spots, and it's like very rare if I got 1. And yeah, it was a brutal game of Sagrada.
Have you looked into Sagrada Legacy at all?
No, because it seems like a game I literally would care less about.
I feel like you would not enjoy it.
Yeah.
I've looked into it. It looks cool.
I don't need a legacy version of this game. So if it's like this game,
yeah,
that you're like,
it has to do with like coloring and stuff.
I was gonna say unlock a new color. I don't need that. I don't know. To me, I've not even attempted to look into it because I'm like, it's not something I need.
Good with what it is.
That's not at all something I need. I don't need to unlock a different power tool to use.
Like it's legitimately like coloring, like stained glasses and stuff.
That seems way worse too.
I'm unsure.
I'm not busting out multiple colored pencils to fill in boxes, right? I use a black pen when I play my rolling rights.
Yeah, it's one of those that I've seen a little bit about, and it just hasn't interested me enough to actually look into it.
Yeah, same. I'm not caring at all.
Shipyard, another Sushi game. So this was the next one up after Praga. This is the second edition of the game. So again, it's another action selection game. I think that's just his thing. That's just him. We've got another like gear type thing on there. But basically, you have 7 actions in the solo, possibly 6, I don't remember. And then there's 1 more action in the multiplayer game. But basically, you are part of a shipyard, and you're going to be constructing ships, sending them out into the shakedown cruises, which are basically just tests. Yeah, it's just a test. You're testing out your ships. And so on your ships, you need at least a captain, and then I think that's the only thing that you need is a captain. I can't remember off the top of my head. And then there are stokers, which are the people that are throwing coal into the ship that make it move. You have engineers, and then something else, I don't remember. So you can have different types of people on the ship. And then on the actual ship parts, the parts have different things on there. So like for every additional worker that you have, you need some type of housing for them to stay in, except for the first captain. There's like life rafts, canoes, lights, all different sorts of stuff. So whenever you have your ship complete, you're going to send them out on these shakedown cruises. And so those cruises will score for different things. So it's like for how many different smokestacks, or how many ever smokestacks you have on there. I think that's one of them. It might not be. For how many life rafts you have, for how many buoys you have, for how fast it's going. So the more smokestacks that you have, or the more wind sails that you have, it's going to score for those things. You have some end game bonuses that you're going to be going for. So really, it's just a game of timing, because when do you want to complete your ship? You can have multiple ships going at once, but as soon as you complete it, it has to go on that cruise. So before it goes on that cruise, you have to have the track that it's going to go down on that cruise. I don't know. It's just like a lot of little things here and there, and timing it is really important. So I've had a lot of fun playing it. It's another one that I have not played multiplayer, that I think would be better multiplayer, just because basically what you've said, like the person is going to do a more the same problem that we have as Ezra and Nehemiah. It's just not doing anything very meaningful, right? Mm-hmm. Every now and then it might take something from me, but for the most part it's just like, oh, well, I'm going to move this here, and then for me it's like, oh great, that's exactly what I needed you to do, because now I can take this one. So yeah, when we have our sushi day, this will be the one that we play.
Okay, Ken, that is a great idea. One time we should do that. I don't know, live talk about them or do a video or something, but just like
Yeah, I've considered
show because there's. You guys normally see wherever to like here, and then there's 2 sections to the right, and there's 3 to the left of Paul that you never really see. So
that.
yeah, it'd be, and then
there's one up top.
yeah, and then the whole row up top of them, and then the whole row below.
Actually, there's probably 2 rows below. Yeah, 2 rows from here below.
Yeah, so we'll do that sometime.
And then I've got all the shelves in my house. We'll have to splice that together.
Silver. So
When did you get this?
Derek has this game.
Okay.
And he has been telling me about this game forever that we need to play it. So you didn't grow up playing card games, but
Nope.
I did. There is a card game called Golf. I think it's a very popular card game, but
You have to score the lowest.
yeah. And so
Like golf.
this is golf. This is 100%. It is that card game golf. With taking the worst part of golf is you draw from a deck and you drew an 8 and you're like, of course I'm not going to use the 8, and you put it down and that's your turn. This, every card has a power, so when you draw that 8 and you don't take it, it is some sort of power that you then get to use. But other than that, this is golf. Derek and I grew up playing millions of games of golf. So he was like, you need to play this. And I honestly thought he was like, there's no way it's going to be like
it's
golf.
not going to be good.
It's not going to be golf, right? And I didn't think it was not going to be good. I just was like, like, it's not going to be golf, right? And it was 100% golf, and we all 4 had a blast playing it.
So I know there's a bunch of different versions of this game. There
I think
Bullet,
there's a
Amulet,
billion and a half.
There's a bunch of them.
Any of the Bezier games, right? They're gonna milk that werewolf franchise for all that it's worth.
Do you know if all of those are the same game, golf, with just
They're
like different
all
abilities?
identical games,
Right, just different
cards.
abilities.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. So,
Yeah, I've
and
heard good things
You can
about it.
intermingle them. I read the rules, right? Even though Derek said he knew how to play, I realized he didn't know how to play.
He's like me.
It's funny, him and Hannah say they play all the time, and they probably do. And they're like, oh, we didn't know that rule. Yeah, okay, well, I'm teaching the game.
Kirsten and I played something the other day that I'll talk about next month. And I'm laying in bed, and it's 11 o'clock at night, and I'm like, oh, we drafted wrong. She's like, what are you talking about? I was like, I'm rereading the rules now that we played the game because it didn't feel right. And yeah, we totally did this whole section wrong. This makes way more sense.
Yeah.
Like, let's just not count that first game.
Skull Canyon Ski Fest. This is a game Paul and I recently got on the haul, and
we said
both laughed at. Thought this game's gonna be trash, and so I thought perfect time to play it is with my brother and sister-in-law who like simple, silly games.
trash games.
Simple, silly games. We'll put it that way. We all 4 had a complete and utter blast. This game was awesome. I wanted to play this so I could get rid of it. That was the whole reason I was going to play it. We had a complete blast. Lacey is the one, I read the rules. Lacey is the one that nailed it right away. This is like Ticket to Ride. And I was like, sure, if that's what helps you think about it. This is Ticket to Ride. It should be on that shelf right over there.
Oh, I see it.
And then we're like 2 turns in, and Hannah's like, oh yeah, this is like Ticket to Ride. And then it took me like a quarter of the game, and I'm like, oh wait, yeah, you guys are right. This is Ticket.
That's sweet.
This is Ticket to Ride. But yeah, this for me, I will never play Ticket to Ride again. I will always play this game. It is a much better Ticket to Ride. It's Ticket to Ride Plus. It has some abilities, but not overly complicated or adding bloat. It just makes sense. But you're still racing each other to, you're collecting cards and racing each other to claim routes, if you will. I don't know. We just both really enjoyed the game.
Cool.
I think that's the first player marker.
Yeah. This looks pretty sweet, and
It was fun. It was
you
so
and
much,
I are both
It was so much fun.
into snow sports,
Yeah.
so that makes it even better.
Yeah, honestly, if you find this game somewhere, you should get it. It is worth playing. Not super heavy. I'm comparing it to Ticket to Ride, right? But yeah, it is fun. Very, very fun. So
Yeah, and what we had mentioned when we first got it was it's just very reminiscent of that old school PC game.
wasn't
Yeti.
anything like that, unfortunately.
That might have been pretty cool, but
Wasn't any Yeti was.
it was funny when I saw this.
Yeti
game,
was cool was when he was on your side, not chasing you.
when I pulled up our list of games that we played, and I saw this one, and I was like, "Oh, please tell me this one was terrible," and you were just like, "We're saving that conversation for person."
Yeah.
I was like, "Really?
Yeah.
There's no way that game was good."
It was good. It was I'm telling you, I'll never play Ticket to Ride. This is just so much better.
Sky Team. So this was one that I got to play last month again with Kirsten. We must have gone out for something. I don't remember. We had something anyway. This is a cooperative game. Another dice worker placement game where you're rolling dice. One person is acting as the pilot, one person is acting as the co-pilot. Hey, Dennis. And basically you are just trying to fly your airplane and land it at an airport without crashing into other planes, without landing too quickly, and without going into a complete spin. So you roll your dice, the other person rolls the dice, you've got a little screen, and then you're just going to be taking turns back and forth. So you can place dice, like I said, on the wings. So let's say I place a 3 on the wing, and then Kirsten places a 5 on the wing. The difference there is 2. So whoever places the higher value, the wings are going to tilt that way. So, your plane might be flying at an angle for a while. You have a certain speed that you want to get in, and you want to be in a specific area. I forget how this one works, but you place a die, they place a die, and I think you add them together and you have to be above a certain number, and that's how far you're flying. During the last round, you're placing a die, they're placing a die, and it has to be less than your brakes in order to stop the plane in time. And again, you can't talk to each other. So anything that you have to talk about has to be done before the rounds. Like, all right, let's try to do something here on the brakes. Let's try to focus on this. And then once you get into the gameplay, there's just no talking. There's coffee that you can drink once during the round, and that's your manipulation of the dice. So you can change it up here and there. I've only played the very first one, which I think is Heathrow, but Joe actually gifted me this game for my birthday, so now I have it in my collection. So we'll be going through all the other airlines or other airports and seeing how we do with those.
Sky Team.
Sky Team.
Do you know, is the expansion just add more?
It's more airports.
Places?
Yeah, it's more airports. Yep.
Oh.
I think there's like 20 in the base game. And I asked Joe, I was like, hey, are you guys going to get it for it? And he was like, doesn't need it. He was like, there's plenty in the box.
So 20, that's a lot.
Yeah, I think it's 20. Maybe it's 12. 12 to 20. Either way, there's a lot.
Did you and Kirsten land the plane?
We did. We landed the plane very well. So we're good pilots.
Isn't there only one way? It's either well or not at all?
Oh, you landed very well. No, it's one or not at all. You know what, though? I was thinking about this. This month, we are going to have our 5th filler Friday Frenzy. There is 5 Fridays. Play Sky Team.
Okay.
Be silent for part of the stream.
There's 5 this month?
I'm pretty sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, there's 5. So maybe that's one of the games that we play.
Okay, Sky Team.
This is game number 2.
Swap. Oh, okay.
This is the one that we played together.
Yeah.
Yep. Stamp Swap, the newest Stonemaier game where you are stamp collectors and you are
stamp collectors.
Putting stamps in your agenda, journal,
collection.
In your collection. There you go. It was fun. It was honestly much better game than I thought it was going to be. Now, the playthrough that we released, we realized that we scored it wrong right at the end with the rectangles. That was one thing that I found a little strange that they would say those are rectangles, but they're really not. They're just two square stamps. But other than that, I thought it was good. I wasn't sure how the I cut you choose would work with 2 players, but honestly, I think that it worked very well. You had mentioned that you think that that would probably be your recommended player count would be at 2. Yeah, overall, I thought it was good.
I thought the game was really good. I honestly did not expect much from this game going in. It seemed simple, very simple rules, but I honestly think that worked to its benefit more than its detriment. I did think the I cut you choose was just like perfectly done. And yeah, I think at 2-player, it's a phenomenal game, which I also did not think going in that there was any chance of that. So yeah, I don't know. This game has literally not been talked about at all. Not seen anything about it at all. I understand it's new, but like just nothing about it.
Yeah.
And it's good. People should try this game. Like, it's fun. I'm not saying it's a like super in-depth game, but like if I'm just gonna sit down and play a game, like I'll play this.
Yeah.
You know?
And our playthrough was a little bit, I feel like, longer than we had initially thought, but I do think like under that hour mark, generally get it played in there. I know Ian, I'm not sure if you're still on, but he has played the solo a handful of times, and the couple times that I've talked to him about it, he said that the solo surprisingly does it really well. It's got like a order of operations or something. Like, oh, I'm going to take this kind of tile and take this one. So, you know, if that's something...
I'm curious how it picks between your 2. Like, how do you...
Yeah, I'm not sure.
You know what I mean? Like, these are all good.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're getting that one.
And so that was kind of my thought as well. It was just like, well, how does that part work? But, you know, he said that it works out pretty well. And I don't think this is a game that I would want to solo. I might try it once. But you've said it before, and I'm starting to believe it even more now. Not every game needs a solo. So I don't know. I'll try it out maybe if I'm bored at one point, but from what I've heard, it works pretty well.
Yeah, I have no interest in doing the solo, but I thought 2-player, great. And I've played at other player counts. I'm just like, I think that 2-player was very good.
So. I wonder how much time adding more players would be, because at least that, like, when you're splitting them into groups, like, that's simultaneous, so like shouldn't add too much more time, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our time was spent like
analyzing where to put the stuff.
Oh no, I was gonna say being a first playthrough and like having to like figure out the order of things.
That's true.
Once you know how to go, it's pretty dang simple to just, I'm gonna take this stamp, you're gonna take that stamp, I'm gonna take this stamp, right?
I'm gonna reserve this one.
And then yeah, we both spend a little bit of time splitting, you know, pick the piles and then placing. So like
the game loop is simple.
Yeah, like and then you calculate the score for the round. So I don't know. I don't see more players having to add that much time. Right. So
yeah. Stamp swap. Surprisingly good.
Stroganoff. Played this. Where did I played this in a hotel. I remember that. It was during inventory, so it was toward the beginning of the oh, hey girl. It was during the beginning mid of the month. I won't lie, I don't remember a ton of the game because I was on the phone with Lacey basically the entire time I played it, right? So I'm having like a conversation as I'm like doing it, but I can't even really explain the game. You start at the left end of this track, and every turn you have to go further down the track, right? And wherever you end up at the track, you're trying to like collect animals. I don't know.
Okay.
That's what you're trying to do. You're collecting animals. I guess you're hunting animals. I thought it was a war game, a theme game. It's not that. It's like you're hunting different types of animals and getting like sets of animal tokens, right? So I'm going to get a bunch of deer or a bunch of beavers or whatever. And those are your currency to like it has this very interesting turn order structure, right? Where like you move, you then do a basic action, you then do either a basic or an advanced action, and then you can pay to do another advanced action. Okay.
Yeah. So you're doing 3 things, 2, possibly 3.
Yeah. That doesn't sound as complicated as it is once you like have a ton of choices to make, because it's like, oh, I have to do the basic action first, which is basic. Let's call it collecting resources. That's basically what the basic action is collecting resources. And then I want to do this advanced action. But if I do this basic action again, so I do 2 basic actions, and then I spend these other resources, I can do this advanced action. I don't know. It's it's very complicated. But that complication makes the decision space of the game.
Yeah.
And so it's deciding where you're going to go, and basically the spot you're on determines which animal tokens you pay to do everything on there. And then there's 4 different styles of advanced actions. I'm not doing the game justice by any means whatsoever. I don't at all remember how the bot played.
So Stroganoff, I've known about this game for some time. I think the first time I heard about it was from Wade, and it's when we played Coffee Traders the first time. I think he wanted to play either Coffee Traders or Stroganoff, I believe. And from what I remember, he said it was a game that he very much enjoyed. And I've known about the game. Honestly, it never piqued my interest enough to look it up on BGG and know what it's about. Anytime I think Stroganoff, I just think of food. So that's like all that I've known about it. I have felt like this would be a game that you would enjoy, from the very little that I know of it. Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, I don't think this is a game you would enjoy almost at all. It's like super decision heavy, right? Like every single turn, it's not clear cut at all.
Yeah.
Every single turn,
there's something that you have to
50
decide.
different paths that you can take, right? Do I move here and do these basic actions and this advanced action? Do I go way down here and do this basic, this advanced, pay to do another advanced? Every single turn is that way, and it's super heavy decision based that way. That I don't think you. I don't think you would hate the game, but it's just not a game you're like.
Just not one that
you like it to be a lot more clear cut of what your turns are.
Yep.
Right. And this one is not by any means. And like you'll have turns. You don't have to, but you benefit from having turns that are very weak. Right. Like it actually benefits me to just
do the basic.
Go do 2 basic, right? Because next turn I can have a super turn.
Yeah.
And it has, we'll call it the roll and write combo-y. So me doing this advanced action actually lets me do an entire action over here. Me doing this second advanced action lets me do an action over here, which then also lets me do one over here. And so even though like in theory you can do 3, it's not uncommon to do 6 big actions in the turn, right? It's the
as long as you plan for it.
It's the White Castle, right? That is actually the best comparison of it. It's like if you plan correctly, you can chain and combo stuff really big.
Interesting.
So, anyway, that was
Dennis. We have both played Dune Imperium. I don't think either of us really enjoyed it that much.
So that's actually one of the games I want to play at BGG. I had a bad experience, me personally. I was a sore loser on it, for sure. So I want to play it again, right? This game is ranked, 5 on...
Is it really that high?
It's top 5.
Jeez.
And then Uprising...
That climbed quickly.
...is also... Well, no, Dune Imperium sat there for a long time. But... Dune Imperium Uprising is now I think it's 40th or it's way high up there.
Jeez.
Right? So everybody loves the game, right? Everybody talks about it being, perfect deck builder, worker placement type of thing. I want to play it again, and so that's actually one of the ones I was going to suggest for next
Joe
week.
will be very happy to hear that.
Does he want to play it again?
I thought he really wanted to. I thought he really enjoyed it.
Well, I
And
don't
he
know.
just, that, for me, it suffers the same thing that Lost Joan of Arc is why I don't enjoy it. It just doesn't do enough of either of those things. Or at least the first playthrough that I had of it. It wasn't enough of a worker placement game, not enough of a deck builder game. And then it had the area control, which
The conflict.
the conflict, which I don't generally enjoy in games in the first place. So just kind of a mixture of all that stuff wasn't my favorite. I mean, generally for the most part, I'm always apt to try something again, but it was never.
Yeah, I think it
something
was,
that I
for me,
enjoyed.
it was a game that I truly was enjoying.
27. Jeez.
Yeah, I was really enjoying, and then I just had a bad ending for me.
Yeah, you were going to win it, and then the conflict destroyed it, right?
No, I'll tell you exactly what was going to happen. I was going to win the game. It was our first play, so none of us three knew what the intrigue deck had or did, right? But based off what I had seen, I had the strongest adding power to conflict. So I went all in. Paul, who was not going to win the game by any chance whatsoever, competed against me for it, and I didn't realize that there was a card where you could pay spice that then had a even stronger adding ability, right? None of us did, right? That was part of it. So I went all in, very confident. I'm holding the strongest intrigue card. There's no way I cannot win this. Paul wins it, which then causes Joe to win the game, because me losing there was me going. I was going for this is it, all in, I win right here, at the cost of Paul having beat me, I'm spent, I can't do anything else. Or I could have waited the next round, but I would have been competing against Joe, and it would have been one of us winning, right? So it was either if I go in all now, I'm pretty sure I got it locked down. So anyway, that's what happened. Paul King made Joe.
Not on purpose.
King made Joe.
We've talked about that many times.
It was,
I don't read the board well.
Talking about Tay's flip the table moment is as close to a flip the table moment as I came, and so it soured the experience because I was enjoying the game up until that point. That was 3 years ago, so I've wanted to play it again to actually get a taste of it, because you were just looking, everybody loves this game.
Yeah,
the fact that they made
insane.
basically, we'll call it a second version of it, and it is also peaking the charts.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And they got 1.5 billion expansions that people think are really good. So I just really want to try it again, because I can see from my one play 3 years ago, how creative and clever the game can be with I'm going to buy this card because it interacts with this other card in my deck, and your decks are really small. I don't know. I do want to play it again. So anyway. Sushi Roll, another one we played, right? This is family weight game. Excuse me, always and forever beat out Sushi Go for me. I personally don't like Sushi Go nearly at all, but it's a very good group game that lots of people like, so I play it fairly often. This is just better. That's the best way. It is base Sushi Go. So I have Sushi Go Party, and I would play Sushi Go Party for the variety. But when you're talking about Sushi Go, those wasabi, nigiri, dumplings, whatever, the base stuff, it's all the base stuff in dice form.
With a rotating thing in the middle or something, where or you have your menu and the menus rotate or something.
No,
right?
you got you just have this little piece of cardboard that supposed to be a conveyor belt, but you just hand it to the next person. It's a way to transport dice that have been rolled over, excuse me, to the next person. But anyway, so it's base Sushi Go in dice format with, I think what makes it better is it's like powers, like you get to re-roll the dice or you can swap dice with another person. Anyway, I enjoyed it. It was fun for what it is. I think it's easily above Sushi
Go. Trekking the World, 2nd edition. Newest one in the Trekking the series.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, I mean, so there's trekking national parks, trekking through history, trekking the world. Trekking the World, 2nd edition.
Do they all play the same?
Fairly, yeah. I haven't played Trekking Through History. So with this one, this is the 2nd edition. They've actually redone quite a bit of it. So for the first one, I've played it on BGA a couple times, but on that 1st edition, there's like blocking, so you can't be in the same spot as somebody else, kind of thing. In this one, they removed the blocking aspect. In the first one,
that's better. It seems like strategy.
Yeah. So, let me start over. So in Trekking the World in the 1st edition, you have different colored cards, and each card has a number on it. So let's say it's like a purple 1. You can discard it to move 1 space, kind of thing. You can have a 3 green. You can discard it to move 3 spaces. There's also location cards, whatever you want to call them. You're visiting this place, and in order to get those cards, you have to play certain colors. So you got to play like 2 greens and a purple. But you have to land in that space. So you have to move to that space, then you discard those ones, then you can get that card. There is no money. Yeah, there's no money in that one. And then you have just like different resources all throughout the board, where you're just picking up these cubes and putting them in your suitcase. And if you're completing columns, you are getting victory points. 2nd edition added, you're drafting cards from a tableau at the top, or a card river. And so when you draft it, the first thing that you do is you move a certain amount, you gain some money, and then you can do a 3rd ability if you're in a certain region. All of those location cards now cost money instead of discarding cards. Basically, their thought was they wanted to make the 2nd edition more strategic, but still kind of have that same family vibe to it. In the rulebook, it says if you want to add blocking back into it, feel free to. I'm unsure which version I like better. It's a very light, very easy game. I thought it played fine. I played the solo in about 35 minutes, I think. Beat the medium AI pretty easily. I'm not sure. I think it's fine for what it is. I don't think it's one that I would bring to game night or anything like that, but I would definitely play it with, if we were going like with Hannah or Derek or something like that, right? Like I would play it there. I think it would be fine there. Yeah, I think it's fine. I don't think it's anything amazing, but it's a decent game.
Better with more people?
It's got to be better with more people. Haven't played it with more people yet. It is one that I want to try with more people, but yeah, I just don't think the solo is... Again, not every game needs a solo. It's fine for what it is. I enjoyed it. I thought it was decent, but yeah, definitely want to try it with more people. Ian, have you played it with your wife yet? I know that's generally who you play games with. But yeah, I don't know. It's fine. That's kind of my thing that I say for games that are just okay. It's fine.
It was fine.
It's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Suro, another game that I played at school.
It has to.
Yeah, it has to be, right? So this one, I think it plays up to 8. So when I have more of the kids there, this is one that I'll play. This is a last man standing game where you have a little pawn and then you have some tiles. Let's see, our review copy was sent but somehow got lost. They've issued a new one. All right. So with Suro, you have tiles and they've got little paths on them. And so you play them in front of your pawn and then your pawn has to follow that path. And then you just got to keep on placing tiles from that path and move them through there. So the longer you play the game, the less space there is on the board. So you can play a tile that will actually move somebody else. Or, you know, they can play a tile, the only tile that they can, and it's going to knock them off the board. So you win the game if you're the last person standing. If you follow that path and you crash into another person, you're both out of the game. If you follow that path and it leads you off the board, you're out of the game. It's a fun little one. I enjoy playing it once every couple months. But the kids really seem to enjoy it just because they're not very spatially aware. And it's funny just having them put something down and having no idea. Yeah, and they're like, oh, no. And I'm like, no, that's literally the game. Yeah. Once you take your hands off of it, you're done. And I did say that. So yeah, it's a fun little game. There's a bunch of different versions of it, but base Suro.
Versions? Oh, I think
there's like a C1 and all this other kind of stuff. So yeah.
Watch. I'm gonna be brief on this one. Played it solo. It was not anything special solo. It was not needing a solo play at all. I did it and will never do it again. It's a great game. It is a terrible solo. You should never buy this if you
I don't know if you mentioned it after the video or spoiler, we played this one for next month also. I don't remember when you mentioned it, but you had said like if your first play of this was a solo one, you would have probably never gone back to it.
Yeah, I'd have thrown this away in the trash. It's not good solo at all. I think it's a phenomenal game, and the definition of not every game needs a solo, for sure. So, actually, interesting fact. I will talk a little bit more about this. I was reading about it after because I'm like, that was terrible. The designer of the game did not make the solo, did not want to make a solo, did not think the game should have a solo.
Did this come out 2020?
No, this is like a freaking old game, right?
Is it? No, it can't be. Keep talking.
Yeah. This is old. Anyway, did not want to make a solo. Publisher, Rio Grande.
2021.
Oh, wow. I'm way wrong.
It's because that's when every game had a solo.
Publisher said this game has to have a solo. They made one themselves. Designer had nothing to do with it. He said, do not play the solo.
Really?
The designer of the game on BGG. So listen to the designer.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, like, that was after 2020. That's when, like,
this game was like ancient.
No, that's when the boom of solos came out, and that's when every game had to have one.
It's Rio Grande's graphic style. I think that's really it. Like,
I agree.
I know I've got more.
Yeah,
they all look up there. Like the Hacienda, Goa.
Oh yeah.
Like their graphic style just makes it. San Juan is actually an older game. It just makes it look.
I mean, same with like Praga and Shipyard looks newer, but Evacuation, all those.
Old.
Yeah, no, those don't really.
Anyway.
White Castle, I got to solo this one, and I won. I beat the solo. First time ever that I beat the solo, and I had my highest score ever.
Was it luck?
No, it was not.
It's not on your part, on what the AI did.
Let me see what their score was.
Because isn't like the solo just like brutally hard?
It is. It's brutally hard.
Because of however the deck was made.
So they got 62, I got 68, so we were pretty close.
No, but not on. I just meant on what the solo
on what the solo was doing. I don't remember exactly. It did.
What is this? What's the solo normally score?
66 is what I have for the other one. That's the highest that it's gotten.
Okay, so it's consistently there.
Yeah, but I did play the. So there's the base game solo, which is very hard. It got 66 on that one. But that one flips 2 cards if it can't do the first card. It will flip another card, and so then it does 4 actions. There is a fan-made solo. It's actually a designer that makes solos for Devere. He just made a solo for this game on his own kind of thing. So it is a person that designs games. It's not just like Rio Grande throwing out a solo design, right?
I don't know. I think fan-made solos are great.
Yeah.
People knock them all the time.
They're
Zero reason. If a fan makes a solo for the game, it is because they are a legitimate fan of the game and they are designing like something to be good, right?
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think Arc Nova is a prime example. Arc Nova
that's a
has
solo,
not a good solo. It's the Terraforming Mars solo. Do it by X time, right? They have made, the fans, I don't know, multiple, they have made an awesome solo bot, right? So I think fan solos.
Yeah, so what
totally
what the solo on this one does is it limits it to just doing 1 card's actions instead of 2. And then it makes the choices more human-like. So like in the original box solo, it's like just put it anywhere. And so I'm gonna put it on the spot that's best for me. Like I'm not gonna put it on the one that's best. Excuse me, best for me. This one, it does say like put it on the one that has 2 actions per dice color. If it doesn't have one there, put it on the next one, kind of thing, right? So it is going to block those spots that you want, and then it's also going to do its combos. Like, so if it does take an action where it has 2 dice, it's going to get a victory point and it's going to move up that reputation track. So it does get like bonus things for doing that. I don't know. It was just really good. I don't remember who it was, but there was somebody in the chat and they just kept on, lantern actions, do this, do lantern actions. And honestly, I was kind of like ignoring it at first. I was like, no, the lanterns, like, it's not, like, I'm just getting, I don't even remember what it was, like 1 coin or something at the time, right? But then I really boosted it up, got tons of coins, and then at that point, it's just like, oh yeah, now I can go anywhere, right? Like, I can pay the 2 coins to put the 1 here. And so that really just kind of was like, okay, I get the gimmick now. Like, that is the whole point of the game, is to do those kind of things. There was one move that I should have like gone up to the very top level of the castle, and I didn't do it. If I would have done that, I would have beat the AI even more. But it was good. It was just a good learning game, and I think it finally like clicked for me, because every other game that I've played of that, I've been 44 to 48, somewhere in that range, and now got into the 60s, so I was really happy with that.
Means we need to play again.
Means we need to play it again.
So, all right. Last up, Ken. Hope you're
still back.
Because I played some Zombicide. This is the original OG first edition Zombicide.
I didn't realize you had this game.
Recently got this game, and it's one of those you got to know your audience, right? And so I'm about to have that weekend with my family, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that Derek would love this game, right? So we start setting this up before dinner, and then kids screaming. We played like 1 round, maybe 2 rounds were the base, it's enough for me to explain the mechanics to them.
Was it just you and Derek?
Just me and Derek, and like this place had a little basement thing, so sort of, not no basement in Texas, but you know what I mean. And so like den, we'll call it, and it's back there set up on like a ping pong table, and we set it up, we go do dinner, and then after dinner we end up playing Skull Canyon and Silver, right? We play, and so it is midnight, right? And I'm like, all right, we get done with Skull Canyon, it's midnight, everybody's ready for bed, and I'm like, all right, I'll see. And Derek's like, do you want to still play that game down there? And I'm like, what?
You're like, yeah.
I'll stay up. He's like, how much longer will it take? I'm like, I don't know, it's an hour game, right? Zombicide is not long by any means. So like, I don't know, we've done a couple turns, so somewhere within an hour,
45 minutes, an hour.
Yeah. He's like, let's do it. man, we go down there and we just, two of us, laugh and have fun and slay some zombies, and we won. And he said, right, anytime, something that make any gamer want to hear, he was like, man, this was so much fun. Right? I knew he would. Like, you know, I think I once heard Joe define Zombicide as a beer and pretzels game.
I've heard him say that. That was
not a term that like I was familiar with, you know, but that is what zombie, right? You know your audience. This is not one that like me and you would have a complete blast playing, but like I can see this being one I take every
time you see him.
Every Thanksgiving, you know, and we will play this. I think Zombicide is fine, right? It is that. It's you have to look at it as that beer and pretzels game. You're literally going in to just go
slay some zombies.
Go scour through the trash, trying to find a machine gun, and then kill as many zombies as you can. And yeah, we were just completely laughing and having a complete blast down there playing. You know, I know that they've made 1 billion versions of this, and they've only gotten better, right? Like, and that's what he says. This one is so basic. Like, it's, if you play this for more than 3 times, you're finding the exact same items, making the exact same Molotov cocktail, right? Like, you're doing the exact same. Well, all the new stuff just adds so much more variety, and so it's like, I had looked into Marvel Zombies, I think is what they called it. They didn't call it Marvel Zombicide. I think they just called it Marvel Zombies.
Yeah, that's the IP.
When it was launching. And I knew I just didn't like have people to play it with. But I think now I would consider getting it, knowing that Derek liked it, Denver would enjoy playing this, and like we just go on this weekend and we bust it out, and you know, have the 40 miniature zombies out there that we're just slaying away.
So Ken, you have the dark side of this. You obviously like dark side versions of games with King of Tokyo, Darkness. What does that one add?
Yeah, the dark side. They have, I don't know, one was the Black Plague, which is medieval themed.
Okay.
What else do they have? I don't know. They got it.
So I'm not going to lie. Honestly, like, zombie movies, that at one point in time, that was like what I absolutely loved, right? Like, just the campiness of, you know, I love...
More of aliens, okay.
I love B-movie, like B horror movies. Those are the things that I like. You and I playing this together, probably not the best. But, you know, you, me, Derek, you, me, Joe,
like,
you, me, Dan, like, I think that would be...
You got to know the audience, you got to know the environment, right?
Yeah.
Like, the first time I played this game was, like, I like, you know, we were teens through, you know, Dawn of the Dead and...
28 days later,
28 weeks later, right? What was Shaun of the Dead, right?
Yeah.
There was like, and then what's the show that lasted way too long?
Oh, The Walking Dead.
The Walking Dead, right?
First 2 seasons good. That's it.
Like, so like that, and that was probably the part of the problem, right? There was this like, oh, zombies are cool, so they just like everything had zombies. I really like Cabin in the Woods, where they make fun of the fact
Evil Dead movies, all those.
Well, that if you remember in Cabin in the Woods, like they make fun of the fact that it's zombies, you know, like I just, that was what happened, is it was zombie overload. So when I played this game for the first time, I remember just being like,
cool, zombies.
It's just a zombie game, you know. And then I've probably played this. This was probably, if I had to guess, my 5th playthrough of it, of Zombicide in some form or fashion. And yeah, so it's like, I think a lot of the enjoyment is being so far removed from my zombie burnout. That it was like, oh yeah, it's fun to just have a bunch of zombies that we're killing. So. Yeah, Ken. I think I'll at least play this once a year. at a minimum, you know, because my brothers would enjoy it, and it's exactly that. You got to know your audience for it, right? Like Lacey wouldn't enjoy playing Zombicide with me, you know, but like you just get out there and you go kill some zombies while you're running from, you know,
I think the Marvel zombies
house
would be
ass.
ton,
And yeah, I
ton
think
of
the
fun.
Marvel zombies would be pretty cool because I like Marvel and you know all the improvements they made. This game probably, I don't know, came out in, I'm gonna say 12 years ago, right?
Yeah,
like
long time
would be
ago.
a rough guess. So all the improvements they've made over the years, and I'm just playing, you know, the original OG. So
yeah, 12 years ago exactly.
yeah, so that was Zombicide, and that was
is our list.
our complete list.
So David played 2 games of Marvel United since he last said he was since he
Get
said
on
it.
board.
So there you go. That's a little time frame for you.
David, what villains were we running there? That's what I want to know.
And then Ian came back and said, so the AI for Stamp Swap, it appraises the tiles to do the I cut you choose. So I guess it's
so
just
it
like
has some sort of ranking where you know the forever stamp is 1 point, and then
the rectangular one
the
or whatever
3x1 is worth more. So very, very cool. So it adds up.
I mean, Stonemeyer does really good with their, you know, Atoma Factory or Automa Factory, whatever it is.
Automa Factory game?
Yeah, any Stonemeyer game goes through their Automa Factory. So
Dennis, you know what? I saw that, or didn't watch the show, but I had thought, you know.
what show?
The iZombie.
Oh, I think Kirsten watched that one.
I had considered it, so maybe I'll give it. You beat Red Skull, got crushed by Rhino. Oh, okay. Yeah. Honestly, what I really like, David, is that
show was that?
every single villain brings their own deck of whatever they call them. I don't remember. Scenarios or
Schemes?
scheme.
Schemes.
I don't know what the name is, but it's they bring their own deck, and that's what makes the theme of it, right? Them all doing something different there. So
There was a zombie show on MTV
MTV.
2012-ish, and it had, it was not Bryan Cranston. What was it? Is a comedian, Brian something. And he used to be on Mad TV. It was a dude that wore the real short shorts.
Yeah, I know.
Brian something with a C. And it only had like 7 episodes or something. Like it got canceled immediately. It was such a funny show.
What was his character on Mad TV? Was it Stewart?
No, it wasn't that guy. I do remember Stewart. It wasn't him. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Look what I can do.
Look what I can do. Jump. But no, talk about zombies. My favorite Evil Dead trilogy. I think that is the best trilogy. Evil Dead 3 with the chainsaw arm. Anything about that, I absolutely loved all of those. So.
What was that guy?
What is his
Romero?
Sam Romero is the director.
Yeah, Romero.
Yeah,
That's what his
I think
name
it's
is.
Sam Romero. But he did the Spider-Mans too, the first 3 Spider-Mans. Yeah, and with Bruce Campbell. That's right. And Bruce Campbell was in all 3 of the Spider-Mans. What is his name? Brian... I don't know. Doesn't matter.
But anyway, while Paul's talking about that, so coming up this next week, you have the calendar, I don't have to mess, but I think Monday you're doing...
the 11th?
your
My
monthly
BGA
review.
monthly review.
Yeah, that's huge.
I've played... My goal for this month was to play all new games on BGA. I didn't tell anybody that. That was just kind of my personal goal. Brian
Death
Callen,
Valley.
that was it. Yes, Ian. That show was so good.
Honestly, I thought Paul was making this up. So
No,
good
that
job.
was so good.
It was actually good. An MTV show. During the
it might
early
not have been good, but like I loved
No
it.
way was it good.
It did get canceled.
No way was it good.
Yes, that was the one.
back during the Next and
Next was good too.
Room Raiders and
2011.
the only
Oh man, I'm gonna go home and try to find this.
Yeah, the only good MTV show during that time is Cribs, for sure, hands
Criss
down.
was before that.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it had to have been. Do you remember the Cribs where it was like Steve-O and he like showed his car? It's like, this is where I live.
No, I don't remember that.
Yes, thank you, Ian. So, BGA Monthly. My goal this month was just to play new games that I hadn't talked about. I didn't tell anybody that. But I did really well with it up until like this week. This week I went back to some old classics. But there are going to be a lot of new games that I haven't talked about on there for this one. And then let's see, you're out the 18th. Is that right? Or whatever date that is. I can't read it now. That next Wednesday?
Oh,
The
yes.
13th, no stream.
We're at BGG Con.
Oh, that's right. We're at BGG Con.
Yeah.
I was going to say I might do a stream.
Yeah, we're at BGG
not.
Con. Don was like, I'm not going anywhere.
We are
Yeah,
going
so we
somewhere.
will not have a stream. Basically, Paul will do his. That will
Yep.
start and end our week.
Yep.
And we
week.
will be at BGG Con
Ooh, I gotta make something
having way more fun than you guys.
Ooh.
Yeah, and so then what? Oh, I'm going to play Zango Out. That's going to be awesome. Paul and I are probably going to play the Ravenshire game.
Yeah, Forges of Ravenshire will be the 22nd.
You'll wrap it up with
What's new in the
week?
collection? Not very much new stuff so far. We still got a couple weeks.
That's what you think. There's a massive box over there that you got to take home with you. So,
Yeah, I got a text from Devin. It was like, here are some games. I was like, what are
no,
these?
I wasn't gonna make you do those. But that's the wave 2 or wave 1 of HeroScape
Oh, okay.
over there. So
You got more HeroScape in, huh?
I have another wave on order.
True.
I'm going all in. I love that game completely. One of these Rugrats will hopefully love chunking dice at some point in their life.
That's true.
And we can just have a little hex-based battler.
Put in shelf view and schedule. Not for this month.
Yeah.
We've got this month pretty covered. And then the 29th, we just found out today that there's 5 Fridays in November. So that's going to be our 5th Friday filler frenzy.
Yeah.
So we've got Sky Team. We talked about that. And then a few more.
I feel like there's been ones we were like, oh, we're going to do that. And I can't remember a single one off the top of my head.
Yeah,
right
I
now.
can't either. But if you're watching this after the fact, maybe drop some comments for some games that play about 30 minutes or less, and we'll see if we have them.
Yeah.
But yeah, something like that should be good.
So that's it. So tell us, if you're watching this after the fact, what games we should play at BGG, because we almost always go in with a list of games and then knock them out and don't have
Enough filler games.
Yeah, weird gap stuff.
Yeah, right now I have 2 filler games. I know one for sure. I thought of one earlier today. I just forgot it, but it will come back in my brain. I've got 2 filler games that I've thought about.
I have none. Joe and I were actually talking about this today. So Joe and I have been super addicted to a new card game that came out.
You've got another group text without me? He has a group text. It's just you and him.
Yeah, it's a personal text between
Dang.
us. It's not a group text.
Oh.
It is a personal text.
My 2 friends can't talk without me.
You want to play it. It's a card game.
It's on the computer. I won't play it.
Yeah, it's a card game. I don't know. It's like
No, I won't play it.
that's exactly why we just text you. Although I think you have this weird thought of video games are all Call of Duty. This is a board game. 100% we're playing a board game. It is a tableau builder board game is what it is. Anyway, but Joe and I were texting and we're he was like, hey, have you done any of your rule books? And I'm like, no. He's like, yeah, me neither. I just keep playing the Bazaar. And I'm like, yeah, me too. I'm like, yeah, I literally I can tell you right now, I plan to play 0 solo games other than my stream because I am playing...
You have to read rule books?
No, I'm playing the Bazaar every morning. Instead of playing a solo game, I play an hour match of the Bazaar.
Okay.
That is... I know that I'm covered on all my gaming next week for BGG, and then I got a couple solos in there.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm playing the Bazaar because it is so freaking addictive. So anyway,
Alpha Clash card game. We'll have to look into that one. Ken, we've never found the WWE Rumble card. We didn't find it at the BGG library. We asked about it, and they didn't have it.
Ken, download the Bazaar. $30. It is the best.
That's so funny that he's been enjoying it.
It is.
Like Cascadia, have you checked out the digital version released last week? No. Gnar. I've heard Gnar is good. Okay, we'll look into that one. It's some Viking thing. Dragon Keepers, have not heard of that. We need to screenshot these. We'll just check the chat later.
David, I have not checked out the Cascadia digital version, but I buy way too many games on my phone, so I will most likely get it because I get everything.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
I assume that's what you mean by digital. If it is mobile digital, I don't typically do a lot of the ones on stream, but you are really trying to get me to play Marvel United on Tabletop Simulator. So, what's the difference between that and playing on Steam?
Early access on Steam.
Yeah, it's
David, I just saw something the other day on BGG.
Stranded at Devin's house. Come on.
Somebody made a scoring app for Cascadia. Like, you take a picture of it and it scores it for you.
Dude, AI
it scores the
anything.
terrains for you. Yeah,
That's
I was
awesome.
just like, whoa, that's sweet. Like, that's a not fun part of scoring Cascadia. And yeah, you just like put it in the app and it scores it for you. And somebody like posted a picture of it and was like, if it can score this one, it can score all of them. So I'm gonna have to check that out. That would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, that is what we got. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us for a couple hours. It's always fun to do. So
Definitely.
Join Paul next Monday, and then
I need that for every game too.
come back a week later. Hang out with us again. So
Yep, we will be here, and if you guys think of any games, put that in the comments, and we'll try to maybe do some. I don't know. We'll try. We'll see what we do at BGG. Probably won't live stream anything. Maybe we'll make a video from it.
yeah,
I don't know.
We'll
Depends.
We'll play games and be selfish about it.
We'll for sure talk about it next month.
That's right. So, all right, you guys take care. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. All those things help us, help our channel grow. See you on the next one.